Okay, I think I'm rolling. Yeah, mine's supposed to, but I didn't do it yet. Yeah, that's likely what I'll do is when we're done here, I'll do the update. Huh. Yeah, we're just basically just trying to cover movies no one ever talks about. Right. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good description. Yeah, one of the guys that he had in several of his movies that he liked to use was Tor Johnson, who was a Swedish wrestler. And even though the guy had, I guess, for lack of a better term, limited talent, he liked to use him. Yeah, right, right. And I'm going to let you discuss Vampira. She was definitely an icon. which is kind of a theme through several movies. One that stands out for me is exactly the same theme was The Day the Earth Stood Still. Oh yeah. Right. Yeah, that's right. Well, that's kind of hard to believe, you know it. Yes. No, I actually saw it on television, and I was already grown and had kids, sitting there watching TV, and this movie came on. I said, "Oh, this might be interesting." I never heard of it, but it's science fiction. Started watching it, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was like, but I had fun watching it because I was sitting there going, "I can't believe this is this bad." But it was like a train wreck. I just had to keep watching. Well, it looks like Myala Nurmi. That's what it looks like. Well, Right. Now, he was in a prior Ed Wood movie by the name of Bride of the Monster, which is another classic, for lack of a better term. The classic with quote marks. Right. 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 And there wouldn't be a television show like MST3K without these kind of movies. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now, the movie starts out with psychic Criswell, who was a yeah, he's a good friend of Ed Wood's. And he started out with the line, "Sometimes, my friends, we are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives." Well, of course, that's got to be one of the dumbest statements I've ever heard. But it's funny because when he opened with that line, that hooked me. I was like, I don't have any idea what he's trying to say there, but that I gotta watch the rest of this movie. Oh yeah, and we'll start with when the two guys were in the airplane flying. That looked fake, but when they looked outside and saw this flying saucer, it looked kind of like two pie plates together being pulled by strings. I mean, it's right. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, this thing jumps around. Well, a lot of it has to do with Bela Lugosi parts. But this movie jumps around a lot. It's on one thing, then it goes to another, then it goes to another, and it's on one thing again, then it's back to that. It does a lot of jumping around. But the flying saucer ends up going into the graveyard, and this is where essentially starts what they're trying to do. Uh, it kind of starts with you got mourners gathered around the old man at his wife's grave, and after it lands, the grave diggers from the funeral home are killed by the female zombie, which is Vampira. And of course, the old man at home just kind of walks around. He's sad, and he steps in front of a car and he's hit and killed. And then the mourners at his funeral find the dead grave diggers. And then the police officers show up. Inspector Clay, who is played by Tor Johnson, goes off to investigate on his own. And then the airline pilot and his wife, who live near the graveyard, and okay, I don't understand that, but that's okay. They hear the sirens, and then he tells her, "Well, hey, yeah, by the way, I saw a flying saucer, and the army told me that I couldn't tell anybody, but I'm going to tell you anyway." Uh, but then at the graveyard, uh, the inspector went off on his own. He encounters the female again and the old man, and they kill him. Now, the this to me was probably a really fun part. Very, the other officers, when they go to find him, he says, "But one thing's sure: Inspector Clay is dead, murdered, and somebody's responsible." Really? I mean, and the funny thing is while he is saying this, he is scratching his chin and his jaw with the barrel of his gun. I mean, you're sitting there watching, you, you dummy. I mean, that thing goes off and you're dead. But this is just more of the kind of things you're going to find throughout this movie, just stuff that you look at and go, who wrote this? Who's responsible for this? Yeah, yeah. From what I understand, he was a cross dresser because his mom liked to dress him up in dresses and stuff because she wanted a little girl. So that stuck with him. Yeah. Well, Ed Wood kind of was open with it, and a lot of people aren't nowadays. Right. Yeah. But as the movie goes on, it's kind of revealed that the government's been tracking these saucers and kind of covering up. Boy, does that sound familiar? And the aliens finally go back to their space station, and the commander informs the ruler that he has been unsuccessful in contacting Earth's governments. And so, to force their acknowledgement, they recommend that the commander recommends that they implement Plan 9, which basically means they're going to raise corpses. Right. It it seems like a lot of the alien movies type of things, like they're based on it. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. And basically, this movie just continues on this theme. The little chase here, a little chase there. The the people that are still alive get chased, and they end up in the spaceship where the alien kind of talks to them a little bit, and I'm trying to remember what exactly the line was that he used, but it was hilarious. Hmm. I may have to try to see that. Oh, the line that he used was the commander believes that the humans are immature and stupid, and he uses the line, "You see, you see, your stupid mind, stupid, stupid." And some more of that great dialogue that Ed Wood was known for. Safe to say, I think we should encourage everyone out there that's listening to this. Watch the movie on your own. You will be amazed and astounded, and it's actually a fun watch. In fact, it's fun to watch and try to pick out stuff and go, "Oh, that, yeah." Huh, not surprising. Right. Yeah, this movie kind of demonstrates what happens if you're kind of left to your own devices. Oh no. Yeah, because they couldn't afford retakes or anything of that nature, so they went with it. Yeah. He'd probably think that he basically spawned it, which I guess in a sense he did. Right. Yeah, ironic that he should be considered a pioneer, but he is. I mean, honestly, yeah, we could sit here and probably go over several of them. I have a couple of my head, but well, there's some of the famous ones that got into booby pics, like Roger Russ Meyer and oh, I can't think of the other guy's name off the top of my head, but I'll have it. He did a lot of those kind of movies too, where they were kind of like dramatic action with lots of ladies in them, and most times they didn't have the tops on, that sort of thing. Yeah, but Russ Meyer was big. Oh, Andy Sidaris, that was the guy. He did a lot of those kind of movies, and it was well known that he used at the time Playboy models that were well endowed for another word for that, but he used a lot of them in his movies. Yeah, yes, it was one of their better episodes. Yeah, well, I can believe that. That's just the way things were sometimes in some of those films. But yeah, there were a lot of those type of films, and like you mentioned, a lot of them ended up showing up on the Mystery Science Theater. Never made it. Now some of the guys on that show did, did another one called Riff Tracks, where they do the same thing, and it did show up there. But the original Mystery Science Theater, no, they didn't do it. I think their point was it's too easy. Yeah, they were trying to. They basically were just trying to get into films that were borderline, but yet were bad. Uh, Although probably one of their biggest episodes was, I mentioned it before, was Manos: The Hands of Fate. That is an incredibly bad movie, and it's actually one of the fan favorites because they buried that movie. Right. That's possible, but I don't see that the other part of this is you can do all the effects in the world you want to do or whatever, But if you don't have the foresight to write a good story or a good plot line or supply good dialogue, it's just going to be another dumb movie. I mean, look at all the technology involved in Battlefield Earth, and yet that was a dumb movie. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing is you got to think of all the details, not just one or two. Hey, I got a good idea. Well, okay, you got a good idea. Let's make sure you have good dialogue, good people spouting the dialogue, people that when they act you, they're semi believable. There's a lot of things that go into it that a lot of these people don't understand. And they just figure, oh, we'll film it, it'll be good. Not necessarily. Right. By the way, anybody that listens to this, put something in the comments on either my channel or your channel and tell us something that you think would be good for this series. One of the things I'm thinking of is the Godzilla canon and talking about that. That, I mean, that covers a lot of ground because there's a lot of Godzilla movies. Sheena. Right. And repeated on the day the earth stood still. Yeah, there was a lot of aliens are warning us we better behave type movies. And that was actually a good classic. I don't know about the remake to me wasn't as good as the original. The remake did. The original starred Michael Rennie and Patricia Neal. And that was actually I remember seeing that when I was a kid. That was a good movie. Oh yeah, I mean there's lots of material to cover. We got fodder for this show for a long time, and Yeah, I haven't seen that, and I got to see that. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, because this would be a good start. Well, it's funny because it's bad, but it's not unwatchable. It's just one of those things that you sit there and you just amazingly fascinated, but just everything that's wrong with this movie. And there is a lot. You could sit and fill a notebook of all the things that are just wrong. Dialogue, action, the way people react. The Yeah, a lot of the early stuff like this did that. Amazingly, a while back I mentioned the Avengers. If you watch the first couple of seasons of the Avengers, you see that kind of stuff there. Right, right. No, this is a British television series, and this is their early episodes, and you could see exactly that kind of thing. Mike's hanging down, a door that's open, showing the backdrop, other people walking around, uh, that kind of thing. It's incredible to watch those, and of course they tightened it up quite a bit when they got into the Honor Blackman and the Diana Rigg years. You don't see near as much of it then. But that's something we can kind of talk. Maybe we'll put in our TV series thing. Right, right. And the key is going to be that we've both seen them because there are some bad ones that I've seen that you possibly haven't, and vice versa. So we got to kind of, well, we'll discuss it. And again, we're Monday. We'll start at 6, and we'll kind of recap what we did this week, and then we'll talk about what's coming. Tuesday, we're going to still be in the 50s music wise, but we're going to be pretty much concentrating on Elvis Presley on that one, I think. No, Tuesday. And then and Wednesday at 6, we're going to continue our discussion of Star Trek, the original series, and pick up where we left off on the last one. Right. Right. Then Thursday we're going to still be in the 50s, and we're probably going to discuss some of the lesser. When I say lesser, I mean lesser than Elvis Presley, and pick out two or three of them that we'll talk about then. Now Friday we'll have a new bad movie. Well, I'm going to have to pull it out and watch it because I've never seen that movie. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've done that more than once, but I guess that's kind of it for this one. Right now I have two, but let's hope we can make that bigger. Yeah, I think that's something I'm planning on doing is something along those lines, and putting a little more content in the channel. Yeah.